Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to paint underneath boat cradles. 2 years ago this boat was in a boatyard. I was painting the bottom, doing all the work myself to save some money, and I got to the stage where everybody has problems, which is where you want to paint underneath the cradle. Of course there are normally at least 4 points of contact between the cradle and the boat, and you can't get under there to sand or paint, so you have to find a solution. There are two main ways people overcome this obstacle. Option one is to ignore it, wait to the stage where the boat is just about to go in the water, and then you've got maybe an hour or two to do a quick paint job before it goes in the water. Usually this means you have to choose the paint for these small areas pretty much purely on their drying time, so you might not get the protection that you want on these small areas. Option two is to pay the boatyard. They'll send a crane driver over, spend probably an hour or two messing around, putting in the straps, getting the lifting position correct, and then moving the boat backwards maybe 40 centimetres, and you may have to pay quite a lot of money for this small operation. I prefer to do things myself and save some money, so I used a technique that I used to use in the Royal Air Force with aircraft to raise the boat and allow me to get under the cradle to do the work. I didn't have a YouTube channel at the time, and I had no idea that I was going to be putting this footage on YouTube, so bear with me because the footage that I've got is from an old mobile phone and it's not great quality. However, it is good enough to show you how to do the job. In terms of equipment, you don't need much. You need a small bottle jack with a sufficient capacity to lift the boat in question. This boat weighs 3,000 kilos more or less, and the bottle jack that I use cost around €20, so it's very affordable. You then need some bits of wood, perhaps some stands from the boatyard, scaffold poles and some wooden wedges. So let's have a look at the mobile phone footage and see how the job is done. I started off by making a very stable and level base for the bottle jack. This was made from stands borrowed from the boatyard and from pieces of wood. This is the most important part of the process, so make sure you get it right. I then used a selection of wooden wedges to both spread the load and also to transfer it to the boat in the required direction. This is also extremely important. I then took the weight onto the jack, but before raising the rear of the boat, I took a few steps backwards and looked at the bigger picture. It's important to make sure that everything's level here. And remember that it's not just the safety of your boat that's at stake. My aim here was to move the boat as little as possible and leave the majority of the weight on the keel. The two forward supports of the cradle would also keep the front of the boat steady while I worked at the rear. I then jacked up the rear of the boat just a centimetre at a time and added the two scaffold poles by hammering them in gently as I lifted the back of the boat. There's no need to rush this, just take your time and do it properly. Eventually you'll get to the stage where the rear cradle supports aren't taking any weight at all. I then took the opportunity to go up the ladder onto the top of the boat and give it a good rock around. In the worst case scenario, the boat could only have fallen 2 or 3 centimetres. After I'd done my best Irish jig up there, all that remained to do was remove the rear cradle supports and get in and do the job. I had plenty of room to work, as you can see, on both sides, and there was no rush to finish the job. As a result, I could apply whatever paint floated my boat. Once the paint is dry, you can replace the cradle supports, lower the boat back into its original position, and then work your way round to the other end of the boat and repeat the procedure under the remaining cradle supports. Then Bob's your uncle, your boat's ready to go back in the water where it belongs. Thanks for watching guys. If you enjoy the video, please like it, this helps with the visibility on YouTube. Don't forget to read the description where you'll find some useful tips. If you like the look of the channel, then subscribe. And don't forget, love life.